Fed up with the labels, I finally snapped. Stop assuming I'm autistic just because I don't fit your mold. After battling CPTSD and finding my way through addiction, why does my glow up trigger so many insecurities? Why can't I just be me? I am honestly completely exhausted by people assuming that I am autistic, a lesbian, have a learning disability, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, borderline personality disorder, and so on. This post serves as my unfiltered expression of frustration, hoping that there are others who can relate. I have obsessive-compulsive disorder and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I have spent a significant portion of my life both studying and working in various fields. I have always been naturally talented in most areas, and the time I was not allowed to spend with friends or playing video games during my childhood was spent reading books or training in the few sports I was permitted to participate in. I had a very complicated family life while growing up. By the time my friends and I reached our teenage years and began attending parties, I was already experimenting with drugs and engaging in risky behavior for the sake of thrill-seeking, downhill skateboarding, mountain biking, sport climbing, and cliff diving. I did not have many long-term close friends in high school because, aside from drugs, few people shared my interests. Outside of school, I concentrated most of my time studying, training, or hanging out with my older friends while engaging in foolish activities. Although many people viewed me as one of the popular kids, I was often volatile due to past abuse and the effects of drug use, even back then. My close friends were aware of this, and I consider myself fortunate to have had a second family filled with individuals I could relate to. As a result, I largely ignored negative comments during my school years. Years later, almost a decade, in fact, I began mingling with regular people, those who were sheltered, belonging to homogenous friend groups, and had not left the state since their graduation to reconnect with old friends. Wow. I was never one to stereotype, but 99.9% of the people who claim to detest drama and be non-judgmental are being disingenuous. I feel like anyone who has to repeatedly announce their level of tolerance during conversations is subtly indicating that they do not agree with me as a person. Someone's personal perspective should never offend you. It merely reflects how they perceive the world around them. However, I have had people outright state that I am autistic or have borderline personality disorder or bipolar disorder. Friends I have known for years, even in relationships, have said this. I never took personal offense at such comments, but after years of this happening, I now resort to a default response about my extensive struggle with self-harm that lasted 17 years, childhood psychosis, and severe obsessive-compulsive disorder that presented itself from childhood, as well as the many therapy sessions I undertook to address my depression and work toward achieving balance in my life, despite my stress disorder depriving me of a normal emotional range. Then came the comments such as many individuals with autism lack empathy. Are you sure you are not simply experiencing mania? Oh, you sound like you have Asperger's syndrome. I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder as well. That is why I excel at sports. It's the same thing, right? No, I struggled significantly with life and endured great suffering due to mental illness. The only way I could cease harming myself was through mental or physical exertion, and for a considerable time there was no safety involved in this activity. Absent that, I spiraled into various symptoms of my obsessive-compulsive disorder and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Oh, that just sounds like borderline personality disorder. Then came the comments related to my appearance after I had undergone a few semi-sober periods, moved out of state, gained weight, and cut my long hair. That was essentially it. Short hair and being overweight. Apparently, being an overweight woman with short hair automatically implies that I am a mentally disabled lesbian. This led to a significantly increased number of autism and bipolar comments, and many people assumed that I was unaware of how to take care of myself, leading to me being socially awkward and perceived as a borderline drug addict. Those aspects of my teenage years were among the worst. I felt unable to defend myself in a new town. I had never experienced such alienation before. Returning to reconnecting, I spent a few years in a wonderful relationship and was as fit as I had ever been. My social circle remained small for a long time because I felt that many individuals from my overweight, awkward teenage phase truly took me for granted. They never desired to get to know me, never wanted to listen to my music with me, and never genuinely wanted to be my friend. Instead, they seemed to want to include me in their mental collection of oddities to mock with their friends because of assumed mental health issues. Why would I disclose my personal information to everyone? It made sense for me to cut a lot of people out of my life after leaving that school. When I was slender, dressed in sample sizes, and wore my long blonde hair and makeup every day, I became an absolute bombshell to some people. Despite being in a relationship, once I reconnected with some old high school female friends, my transformation became a topic of conversation. I received numerous friend requests from individuals I had never interacted with. I received many messages from guys I did not even realize attended my last school. My ex-boyfriend was the one who initially pointed this out to me because I was genuinely repulsed by the fact that people who once regarded me as unattractive, overweight, unintelligent, and autistic without ever having listened to me personally now found me appealing. I once thought she was overweight and autistic, haha. She is like the attractive version of an actual autistic person in our friend group. I remember hearing this from acquaintances of acquaintances and I was appalled. Why should someone being autistic prevent them from being attractive to others? Why should such comparisons even be made? Why do people still assume I am autistic? What is even stranger is that many individuals in these friend groups were into fitness, with some pursuing semi-professional sports, including combat sports. I grew up practicing martial arts with my family and had multiple coaches in various disciplines before I reached high school. For an extended period, I planned to relocate overseas to stay with friends and pursue a career in semi-professional fighting. I was taken aback when I felt compelled to constantly over-explain myself while mingling in these groups. Occasionally, I still do, spending 5 hours in the gym doing full-body workouts 3 to 4 times a week in addition to daily endurance training is not as extreme as it may seem. That is simply what I enjoy. I am not exaggerating. Once these individuals discovered my routines taught to me by coaches in my literal childhood, the flood of autism-related comments began again. Apparently, fitness must be a special interest of mine, accompanied by unsolicited advice and critiques of my form as they pulled me into guard. No, I am not in the ring and you are not my coach. I will not perform for you. The anxiety might cause me to lose control. I can only attribute any of this targeted behavior to individuals confronting their own insecurities. When you are an overtly confident person who is secure in your skills, whatever they may be, you inevitably encounter people attempting to uncover your insecurities. This phenomenon is prevalent in combat sports as well as any competitive sport or industry, but I never anticipated it would translate so extensively into my everyday social life. Last year, I had someone whom I considered a new close friend tell me, after learning that I had not visited the gym in 2 years and had quit my job, that I was going nowhere in life and should be trying harder to take care of myself. You guessed it, the conversation circled back to me supposedly being autistic. I do not think they absorbed any of the conversation about my positive achievements. They merely saw me as overweight, single, and unemployed. Not as someone who had been engaged in a consistent routine for 2 years outside of the gym and was returning to school to prioritize my health. Why do people have to view others in a negative light to elevate their own self-worth? It truly disappoints me when I try to see things from these individuals' perspectives. Whenever you come across anyone in life, there will always be areas of shared knowledge and differing skills. I do not believe I have ever encountered someone who is interesting and kind, and whom I wish to criticize for any flaw in order to encourage them to change. Just because someone possesses natural talent in a particular area or has devoted a lifetime to learning a skill or both, does not mean they are superior to you. You do not need to undermine other people's confidence levels to refine yourself. If you believe you are better than someone else, it's best to keep that opinion to yourself or risk being humbled by the universe. I am confident that this has happened to each of us at some point. So why do such individuals constitute a majority of the population? Additionally, if someone is dedicating a few months or even a few years to focus on their own well-being, that is not laziness. One can be the most intelligent, attractive, athletic, and successful person in their field, yet still experience burnout. Once you surpass your stress tolerance level, it becomes exceedingly challenging to maintain a regular routine. Many people find themselves grappling with addiction, aversions, depression, etc. It is essential to have downtime and recover, even if you are a professional. As for regular individuals, we are not facing competition on a weekly or monthly basis, and we do not need to hold ourselves to excessively high standards. If you notice people doing activities you aspire to try or wish to encourage someone to explore something new, that is wonderful. Go ahead, there is no need to belittle anyone along the way. Understand your friends' communication styles and the activities they enjoy. You will discover plenty of common ground, even if there is a language barrier. That concludes my rant. I genuinely feel that there are simply too many people in this world who are quick to judge, and this leads to numerous problems that I need not elaborate upon. I am simply tired of being someone with a severe mental illness that has affected every aspect of my life, and when individuals attempt to belittle me for the few things that bring me joy, I lose interest in them as friends. It goes without saying that there is nothing wrong with being on the spectrum in any sense, so why does the question, "Are you autistic?" always come to me in a derogatory manner? I am not autistic, I just do not like you. Story 2. My boyfriend says I don't want to rant, but I can't help but feel he's fading away. After attempting to break up weeks ago, I struggled to support him, yet he insists I make him feel last. Can I fix my wrongs before it's too late? Trigger warning for hinted suicidal depressed language. I just had a conversation with my boyfriend and something seems off. I am unsure if I am being a bad person or what. Here is how the discussion unfolded. For context, I attempted to break up with him about 2 weeks ago, but we agreed to stay together and address our issues. He has a history of trauma and prefers not to discuss it. Since the breakup, I've also been somewhat less affectionate and have been calling him later at night. He often wants to talk for 4 hours, and I have found myself feeling like I am wasting my free time because it seems I have none due to our calls. I still hardly call and I feel guilty about it. During a phone call around 2 p.m., I mentioned I intended to talk but had some schoolwork to complete. He told me to go do it so it would be finished, which made me call him later. I inquired if he was in a bad mood because his tone seemed off. He responded that he was done with everything, hated his life, and wanted to disappear. Me via text, please promise me you are not going to do anything to harm yourself. I love you. Please calm down, vent to me, I understand and would never judge you. I know what it is like to feel frustrated with everything, though obviously not to the same extent. So please let me know if there is anything I can do, otherwise I will give you some space. I love you and I am always here for you. Him, via text, replying with nonsense to avoid the subject, orchestrated the attack by a man in a white t-shirt who is now a police sergeant in a white uniform with a black shirt on the front of his head and a black shirt on his chest. He was not in the police officer uniform, desegregation. Me via text what? Him, I don't want to rant. Me, what do you want, babies? Tim, I don't know if you could help. Me, that is okay. Do you need reminders of how much I love you, like last night? Him, I don't want to talk to you for a while. Me, okay, did I do something? Him, I am upset, I am angry, I am sad. Me at me. Tim's a little. Me, can you tell me why? I am not offended, I just want to understand. Him, because I always feel like I do whatever is needed to make you happy, tell you how much I love you or anything else. Me, you do, thank you for that. Him, but today you didn't answer my call. You said you would call back very soon, but then you went to eat. For context, he called me and the call woke me up. It was noon, which is late. Therefore, I sent him the following texts and declined the call because I was going to get up, get ready, and eat the breakfast my dad prepared. I have issues with my dad and he gets upset if I do not eat what he cooks. He is elderly, divorced, and trying to cook. I called my boyfriend 30 minutes later, but he did not answer. Here is a recap of those texts. Me, I slept in, thank you for waking me, I am using the bathroom, are you okay? Him, I don't care, just answer. Me, please give me a moment, are you okay? I am going to eat, are you okay? I had a dream that I had a baby. All texts are within 5-10 minutes of each other, are you okay? Him, hey. Anyhow, fast forward to the earlier texts. Me, I had just woken up from a bad dream and I had to eat the breakfast my dad made, otherwise he would be sad. Him, and I feel like I come last in many things. It feels like I am putting in energy that I do not see returned. We did not have to call for such a long time. Me, how long have you felt this way? Him, couldn't you have just called for a moment to check on me? Me, I did. Him, you did not, you called 40 minutes later. Me, I called 30 minutes later and you did not answer. What do you feel that I am prioritizing above you? What do you want to change? Him, yes, because you waited 30 minutes, I was done. Me, done with what? Him, with it, I needed you. Me, what is it? Him, with the topic, what I wanted to discuss, how I feel. Me, what was the topic? Him, it does not matter. Me, please tell me. Him, I do not want to get into it. Me, was it related to your life or mental health? Him, I am not saying I would have called you back immediately, but I wouldn't have said I would call back in a second and then call you 30 minutes later. And yes. Me, I am sorry, I will do better in the future. Thank you for telling me, is there anything else? Him, even when I am sad, I try to take care of you, no matter what I attempt to make you happy. But you place me last, I do not feel loved. Me, send screenshots from the previous night. For context about the previous night, he got off the phone saying he hated his life and wanted to go. I then sent him texts conveying this. Me, I want to remind you how amazing you are in my eyes. You are sweet, interesting, intelligent, funny, handsome, kind, stylish, and perceptive about history, politics, and culture. You have so many interests, and sometimes I think about how intelligent you sounded when discussing the classes you want to take in college or when you answer questions in class. You are going to be the name of college. I am so incredibly proud of you. And not only for your achievements, but because you are so patient, because you try for me, and because you have such a loving heart despite everything. I know it is hard for you to see, but I just want to remind you of how good and lovable you are. I am here for you. I want us to work through this. You do not deserve to feel like you hate yourself or life. You tell me that when I feel this way, it can change if I work towards it healthily. The same goes for you. I love you and you are my baby.
Him's okay.
Me and I love you and I am proud of you and you are worth so much. Do you want to talk about it, baby? Or anything in general, even something positive? I am here to help you divert your thoughts and find happiness. Hims, no, I want to go to bed. Me, okay, did I say anything that upset you just then, or that seemed shallow?
Hims, no.
Then we exchanged love you and good night. Anyhow, fast forward to me sending screenshots to reinforce that I am also trying.
Him, yes, you did last night.
Me, are there any other instances where you have felt this way or was it just this morning? Your feelings are valid. I just want to know so I can be more cautious. Him, I do not mind if some days we do not talk until night, but it seems like nearly every single day while on break, we do not talk until night. I understand you have things to do, especially schoolwork and your own hobbies. I do not want to be first, but I feel like I come last. I am often the last thing you do. I am constantly trying to tell you how good you look, how I love you, how smart you are, and other things, but it feels like you cannot help me at all. I felt sad when he said this because I am trying, but we have stopped being intimate at my preference. I do not know if that has anything to do with his feelings. I agree I am not giving compliments as frequently as I used to, but I am still helping him the best I can, especially with schoolwork. I have been calling him late, and I understand why he would feel upset. Me, I try very hard to ask how you are, how your day has been, and tell you that you are handsome and smart and that I am proud of you. What do you need me to change? I am not blaming you. I am genuinely trying to understand what I need to improve so you feel loved. I understand why you have an issue with the timing of my calls at night. Him to respond to me, do not make me the very last thing on your schedule. Me, I am sorry, I will try, is there anything else? Him, maybe I am wrong, but it does not happen often. It is like once a day. I feel like I am mentioning that to you multiple times each day. Me, read through our texts. I feel like I am trying, but I agree it is not as much as before and I apologize. Actually, do not look because the way you have been feeling is understandable. I will do my best, okay?
Him, all right.
Me, do you have anything else you want to discuss?
Him, no, I am tired out.
Me, do you need a moment?
Him, I just want to be gone.
Me, what?
Him, I hate everything, it is terrible.
Me, hey, talk to me.
Him, I do not want to.
Me, it is okay to feel this way, but I am worried about you. Him, because of everything I mentioned above, I do not feel heard when talking to you. Me, I understand why you feel that way and I am always here for you. Why not? I am taking everything you said into consideration. Him, you didn't answer earlier. We have discussed this before when you considered breaking up. Earlier this week you asked if I was upset multiple times. That is another thing I hate myself. I hate everything, but even then, when you think I am upset or angry, I still try to tell you I am not. Context, I have a habit of asking if he is upset or angry and over-apologizing. He has mentioned that this makes him feel like he is doing something wrong. I have limited asking about this recently and did so last night because his tone seemed off. Me, I am sorry, I had just woken up and I did not realize it was urgent. I got ready, ate, and called later because of my dad, but that does not excuse it. I apologize and from now on I will check in earlier. Him, even though everything is bad for me, I always try to let you know I love you. Me, I see, thank you for doing that. Replies to his comment about me asking if he is upset, what do you mean? Him, I feel terrible because you always ask if I am upset, and it makes me feel like I am not doing enough. Me, I am sorry, that is a bad habit I am trying to break. In my mind, I never intend to imply that. It is usually my own insecurity and I apologize for that. Him, when you ask that, it feels like you do not care. You know I am in a bad place, but then you ask a question like that. It just makes me sad. Me, I will try to work on that. Thank you for expressing how you feel.
Him, okay, thanks.
Me, anything else, baby? Do you feel heard right now? Him, I do not know. Just let me know when we are going to play the game. Through this entire conversation, I recognize that there are aspects I need to address. I feel like a poor partner, but I am going to attempt to approach things maturely and without self-deprecation. However, something does feel off. What are your thoughts?
Story 3.
My girlfriend demanded I cut off my ex and even give up my dog, but secretly chatted with her exes behind my back. When I confronted her, she claimed I was crazy for wanting honesty. Now I'm left questioning everything. Was I wrong for wanting loyalty? My girlfriend, 33 years old, female, insisted that I, 42 years old, male, cut ties with my ex and even gave up my dog, but she secretly communicates with her exes, lied about it, and betrayed my trust when I confronted her about it. I am unsure if I am overreacting or being manipulated, but I have never felt so disrespected, deceived, and betrayed in a relationship. I need advice from those who do not know us personally. We are an interracial couple, not that it matters, but I wanted to mention it because she is often on the phone speaking in Creole Haitian, a language I do not understand, for hours each day. I am just attempting to provide context for the situation.
Here is the background.
When I first started dating my girlfriend, she made it clear that there was to be no contact with exes. At that time, I occasionally spoke to my ex not romantically, just to see my dog, which we adopted together. Even that was not permitted. I only visited my dog once or twice a year, but she insisted that was wrong as well. She would not even allow me to take the dog and cease all communication with my ex. She insisted that I needed to stop talking to my ex and no longer see my dog at all. I agreed and gave up my dog. It was painful, but I did it to honor our relationship. We were together, and she began telling me about a person in her life who is like a father figure to her. But when I looked at their conversation, this man was making flirtatious comments about her body. That made me seriously question her judgment. The following day, her phone rang. She did not answer. She usually answers her calls, but not this time. When it rang again, she still refused to answer. I asked, "Who is that?" She replied, "Just a friend." But I could tell she was acting strangely. I pressed, "What friend? What is their name? Is it a girl or a guy?" She said, "A guy."
How do you know him? I inquired.
"Oh, from nursing school." Then she added, "No, he is a doctor. He teaches at nursing school." I pressed her for about 10 minutes until she finally admitted. It was her ex-boyfriend with whom she had lived and had a long-term relationship. I asked, "Why is he calling? Does he know you are with someone?"
She replied, "No."
I said, "Well, you should tell him."
She refused.
I remarked, "Then I will tell him." She panicked, claiming I was pressuring her, insisting she was not submissive, which created a significant conflict where I was ready to leave. She essentially said that if I did not drop the issue, we would break up over it. I was prepared to go. I said, "Okay, if you cannot acknowledge you have a man, we should break up." This issue lingered for a while. I tried to let it go because she has treated me exceptionally well. In my opinion, she is a high-quality woman. She has endured a lot from me, not involving other women, but rather because of my absence due to my recovery from a drug problem. I am aware of my past mistakes and I have been sober now. However, this situation continued to bother me. A week later, I noticed she was still following him on Instagram. I asked, "Hey, what's going on with this?"
She replied, "I am not."
I assumed she would delete him after I mentioned it, but she did not. Eventually, I became so disgusted with the entire situation that I deleted my Instagram account. I then insisted that she remove him. She refused. I began to pack my things to leave, and that was when she finally deleted him. But now I do not trust her, so I looked at her phone conversations. Yes, I hacked her phone. I was honest with her. If you lie to me and I feel you are being dishonest, I will look for the truth. When examining her phone, I discovered that she had invited another ex-boyfriend over for sex. This was while we were almost together, about 3 months into our relationship. It occurred right when we were becoming serious. It truly hurt to see that. So I sent messages from her phone to both of them saying, "I have a man, have a nice life, goodbye." To the one with whom I saw a sexual conversation, I added, "I have a man and he has a larger penis than you, do not message me again, goodbye." When she saw these messages on her phone as they were synced to her iCloud, she exploded. She yelled at me, demanded that I leave her house, and went completely crazy. At that point, I did not care because I had done what she should have done.
Then she made the situation worse. She texted both of them again and said,
"That was not me, my phone was hacked by a crazy person. I will explain what happened later." She utterly disrespected me. It escalated the situation considerably. Instead of just letting it go and cutting ties with them, she told them that I was insane and completely retracted everything. She then mentioned another friend, a male contractor, who had always been supportive of her and claimed he was coming to finish the basement. I replied, "No, I do that kind of work. I am going to finish the basement." She tried to argue that he was going to do it regardless. I asked, "When was the last time you spoke to him?" I examined their earlier conversations from before we met. She had invited him over to watch Netflix at 11 p.m. He suggested he would come over and assist her with going to bed, accompanied by some sort of face or emoji. He was flirting with her. While she did not fully reciprocate the flirtation, she did not shut it down either. She later acknowledged that she was single at the time and was leveraging her femininity to obtain discounted construction work. I questioned, "Will you stop communicating with him?" She said, "No, I am not going to block him." We engaged in a heated argument on the spot. I exclaimed, "You are going to block me but not him." She insisted, "I am not blocking him." We had a massive fight, I mean a significant altercation. I was yelling and screaming. I do not typically lose my temper, but it felt as though she was provoking me like she wanted a reaction. She works every day, and on one occasion she stated, "Do not worry about it anymore. I will not talk to them again." The next day I inadvertently called him while logged into her WhatsApp. He called her back and she answered. I said, "Let me find out what is happening. Did you call him?" She began yelling at me saying, "Why are you harassing him?" She started defending him again, getting angry at me, even though I had explained that it was an accident. This escalated into yet another massive fight, hours and hours of arguing. I asked, "Why won't you let this go?" She retorted, "Why won't you let it go?" I explained, "You stated one day that you were finished talking to him, then the next day you indicated that you might speak to him occasionally, then you answer the phone when he calls, then you call him back while I am right here." As I was yelling, she called him again, and I snatched her phone out of her hand and hung up while she acted as if I were hurting her. I have never done anything like that to a woman, nor will I ever. She claimed she would continue to speak with him. She keeps going back and forth. She refuses to grant me any peace or closure. When she gives me her word, she changes it the following day. She makes comments like, "If I converse with them occasionally, it is not a big deal." This is driving me insane. Now she claims I am the irrational one, that I am the only man she has ever dated who has an issue with her communicating with her ex-boyfriends or other men. I do not endorse male friends, I despise it. It is causing considerable problems in our relationship. I love this girl, I believe she is exceptionally high quality, but this is incredibly frustrating for me. Yes, I hacked all her accounts. I have warned her since the beginning, if you are dishonest with me, I will seek the truth. That is the situation. She simply does not want to be honest because she knows it will cause a problem. However, I have told her, I just want transparency. Do not talk to men you used to sleep with or who want to sleep with you, and do not conceal our relationship as if I am not your partner. To me, that is a deal breaker. She continues to assert, in time I will post about us on Facebook and make it public. I am left wondering, what does that imply? What is everybody supposed to think when they see her interacting with these men? That she is single. She claims I am making her anxious, that she needs peace, and that she wants to break up because I am unwilling to drop the issue. It feels as if I am in the wrong just because I want to express how I feel disrespected. In all fairness, I have not been the ideal boyfriend. I have struggled with drug addiction. I have put her through a lot, yes, but never with another woman. I have never disrespected her with any female. When an ex-girlfriend contacts me, I hand her the phone, allow her to answer it, and then block the ex in her presence. I do not communicate with them again. All of my exes are aware that I am with her. I do not engage with anyone. I told her from the beginning, I dislike male friends or ex-boyfriends lingering around. She insisted that this would not be an issue. Therefore, I am asking all of you, please inform her how inappropriate this is. That is the primary reason for this post. She genuinely does not believe she is doing anything wrong. She believes I am entirely at fault, that my behavior is irrational, and that hers is completely normal. She claims I am the first person who has ever had a problem with any of this. Can you please clarify if this is indeed typical behavior for a woman in a relationship? How common is this type of situation? Do you deem her actions appropriate? And how serious do you think her behavior is in this context? I am genuinely seeking advice. Story 4. My best friend of 7 years was manipulating me all along. "You owe me," she'd say while shredding my self-worth with her jokes. Now I realize it was never friendship, just a calculated obsession. How do I cut ties with someone I thought I knew? I apologize for the lengthy post. I am a 22-year-old woman, and I need to express this because I have spent years justifying her behavior. My best friend, S, who is also 22, has been emotionally manipulating me since we were teenagers, and I am only now recognizing the full extent of it. We met in 8th grade but grew close in 10th grade when our school assigned struggling students to partner with high achievers. I was popular and outgoing, part of a solid friend group, and enjoyed a long-standing best friendship with SH. However, S attached herself to me with a fervor that, looking back, feels more calculated than genuine. She was a transfer student in 8th grade and was labeled a slow learner, not due to any disability but due to her lack of interest. I, on the other hand, was one of the top performers, academically strong, known by everyone, a bit rebellious yet still favored by teachers. I was active in sports and debates, generally involved in school activities. Then in 10th grade, she was seated next to me because of a rule stating that slow learners should sit beside high achievers. Even though I already had a best friend, SH, I quickly grew close to S. She was often shy, rarely spoke to others, whereas I moved between friend groups, knowing nearly everyone by name. SH occasionally expressed her discontent with S's inclusion in our hangouts. She preferred it to be just the two of us. However, I ignored her feelings, appreciating that S opened up to me, or so I thought. Although I readily shared everything with her, my crushes, boyfriends, family drama, she never truly reciprocated. I would gently encourage her to open up, believing she would when she was ready, but that moment never came. S was friends with my then boyfriend, who was known for being flirtatious. She often warned me about him, suggesting I should break up with him. I eventually did, but only on my terms. Still, I believe she was looking out for me, that she was protecting me. Now, however, I view it differently. After our 10th grade graduation, we continued to grow closer, talking constantly, sharing memes, and hanging out regularly. We chose different colleges, though they were nearby. During this time, I drifted away from SH, and S gradually became my everything. Then there was Jake. He was a mysterious boy from another branch of our school, rarely seen but well known. Every girl had a crush on him, but few dared to approach him. S messaged him on Facebook and later introduced me to him. Jake became infatuated with me, but S liked him too, so I decided to end things. I did not want to betray her. Then something occurred that I could not overlook. I failed a subject in college and confided in S privately. A few days later, Jake mentioned it. She had told him. Her excuse was, he is good at studying, maybe he can help. But he lived in another city and we rarely spoke, he couldn't assist me. That felt like betrayal. I should have recognized the fissure forming there. She began subtly belittling me. If I mentioned wanting braces, she would discourage me. While shopping, despite paying my share, she constantly highlighted how much more she was spending, making me feel like an add-on on her shopping trips rather than a part of them. On one occasion, we bought matching dresses, and she insisted on paying. I lost mine in a crowd, and when we returned, she insisted that I take the other dress instead of letting me buy her a new one. She then jokingly remarked that I always leech off her money. That joke shattered me. I returned home that day and cried to my mom. I felt immense guilt and shame, as though I had done something terrible even when I hadn't. That was when I realized that it wasn't merely a joke. She wanted me to feel that way. She made me feel indebted to her, an emotional debt disguised as friendship. And then there was the comment about husbands. She once joked that if her husband did not satisfy her, she could always share mine, claiming I had good taste. That was no joke, it was her way of instilling fear in me. It was not humorous, it was despicable and humiliating. It twisted something sacred into something grotesque and haunts me to this day. She never wanted me to date anyone. She would find faults in every guy I liked. I initially thought it was protectiveness, but it turned out to be about control. One day she confessed that her goal in school had been to befriend me at any cost. That was not admiration, that was obsession disguised as flattery. After her mother passed away, she started making friends online with men, talking to them constantly, but never shared anything about her love life with me. Yet, whenever I even mentioned going out with a classmate, it became a significant issue. She would say things like, "I thought I was your only friend." I believed her. She even despised my old school friends and devised ways to isolate me from them. In 7 years, she has wished me happy birthday only twice, both times after I posted about it. No gifts, no phone calls, just nothing. Meanwhile, I showered her with gifts and stayed up until 4 a.m. comforting her after her mother's passing. Every time I tried to distance myself, there would be a new crisis, a new way to reel me back in. She would say, "No one understands me like you do," and every time I fell for it. But this year, just 2 days ago, was my birthday. I posted "best birthday ever" on Instagram, yet I received nothing from her. That was the final straw. She has always mocked my appearance. Once, she sent me a picture of her flat stomach, fully aware of my insecurities about mine. If I wore lipstick, she would comment that I looked forced. If I dressed nicely, she accused me of trying too hard. Her insults were always disguised as jokes, but I knew they weren't jokes, they were daggers coated in honey. S and her then boyfriend even dubbed me with a nickname that mocked one of my deepest insecurities. I told her how it hurt me, yet she laughed and continued using it. She sabotaged every romantic opportunity in my life. Whenever I developed feelings for someone, she would label him shallow. Later on, she confessed that she found him attractive. She once forced me to choose between her and him. And now she is married and pregnant, only calling me to complain about her life. If I share my own problems, she interrupts me, stating that I am being lame. Oh, and she is cheating on her husband. She maintains contact with her ex, texting him behind her husband's back. Call it what you will, but to me that is cheating. I have returned home countless times after spending time with her, crying to my mom because she implied that I was relying on her financially when it came to the dress situation. I swear I never did that. The last time we hung out was during Ramadan while I was fasting. She claimed she wouldn't eat anything either, stating she didn't want to eat in front of me while I was fasting. Even that day, she made me feel awful by entering a watch showroom and pretending to buy an expensive watch for her husband as a gift. She spent 30 minutes there while I stood idly with nothing to do. In the end, she said she would return with her husband to purchase it another power play. Since we didn't spend money on food that day, she merely played this watch-buying game instead. I have often expressed my feelings of loneliness to her, yet she continues to go on and on about her husband, whom she claims to dislike. You know the worst part. She is aware that my standards for a man are high. I am a book-loving girl after all. She knows precisely what kind of man I want and has witnessed over the years how many guys I have rejected for not meeting that standard. Many prospects came through her connections, and I turned them down. I have an ideal in mind, and I refuse to compromise. She has never had an ideal like that. She entertains anyone and everyone who shows her attention. Despite knowing all this, she pressured me to talk to a guy who was her husband's best friend so that we could be friends forever. She knew I desired a pious man, yet insisted that I should give this friend a chance. She even threatened to share my number with him, claiming I should at least consider it. I did not give in. Then a month later, she confessed that he is a drunkard, has self-harmed, and engages in sexual activities, the exact opposite of what I want. I felt as if she was pulling me down with her. She wanted me to settle, to feel small, to remain stagnant and miserable. She has consistently encouraged me to date men below my standards, men who match her preferences, the kind of men I would never consider. She weaponized her trauma to keep me connected to her, but the mask has finally fallen away. I dedicated years of loyalty, time, love, and trust to her. But I am done being the fool in a game I never realized I was playing. I have decided to sever ties with her. However, the truth is it is not easy to abruptly cut off someone who has been part of your life for so long. I did promise her that I would visit once she gives birth, and I will keep that promise. I will go meet her for no more than 20 minutes and then begin to distance myself quietly, step by step. I have come to understand that I cannot continue allowing someone like her to diminish me or drag me into a life that does not belong to me. It is time for me to choose my own peace, my kind of peace. If anyone has experienced something similar, cutting off someone who is woven into your history, how did you manage it? How do you gently yet firmly erase someone from your life without destroying the past? I would appreciate any guidance. Story 5. Trusting a teen I never should. My heart stopped when B said, "You can do whatever you want to her, she won't remember." My wife's unwavering concern confirmed my alarm bells. Now I must protect my toddler at all costs. How do I navigate this fear? I am using a temporary account because I do not want this linked to my personal account, but this has been troubling me for a long time and I need to express it all. Important context: one of my earliest memories is of a then male family friend sexually abusing me. Because of this, I am not the most trusting toward men, and I do have complex post-traumatic stress disorder today. However, it is being managed, and I have been out of therapy for 10 years and medication-free for roughly 9. A bit of background: my wife has 3 nephews whom I have known since they were born. They have a troubled home life, and all 3 face serious challenges ranging from autism to speech impediments, depression, and difficulties with mentalization. The oldest nephew, whom I will refer to as B, is in his early teens. He is a smart and charming kid. He is skilled at finding the easy way out and displays a significant lack of respect for authority, rules, or consequences. We do not see their family very often as they live quite far from us, but we do visit them several times a year. My wife and I have a daughter who is now almost 3 years old. Whenever we spend time with my wife's sister and her family, the boys are very attentive to our daughter, and she enjoys playing with her older cousins. Soon after my daughter was born, I began to have these doubts, for lack of a better term. Something told me that I should not leave B unsupervised with our daughter. I could not identify why I felt this way or where this intuition originated, but it was unmistakable to me. As time passed, B was only careful around our girl. He was very attentive to her, and it was quite difficult to make him understand that, while he was still a tween and she was an infant, he was not permitted to pick her up and carry her around. He showed great interest in her development and often asked about when certain milestones, such as cognitive memory or walking, would likely be reached. Nothing stood out as a reason for my alarm bells to ring. I attributed it to my past and felt extremely guilty for even considering these thoughts. After all, I had known this boy his entire life, and out of the 3 nephews, he was the one with whom I could have the easiest and most meaningful conversations. It was clear that this was mutual as he sought out my company numerous times and still does, like when I would walk the dogs alone to escape their chaotic household, and he would ask to join me. One day while visiting them, my wife and I decided to take our daughter for a walk with the dogs. As usual, B asked if it was alright if he could come along, and of course we agreed. We chatted about various topics, and once again he inquired about baby development. On that day he was particularly interested in at what age babies generally begin remembering things. We explained that it is challenging to specify a particular age, but as a general guideline it is roughly around 3 years old. He seemed almost excited and said, "That's great, so you can do whatever you want to her and she won't even be able to remember it as long as she's below the age of 3. You could hear a pin drop. My blood ran cold. Both my wife and I hurried to explain that even though she might not remember events in the same way we do, even babies will react to traumatic incidents, and there will be visible signs in their development. He continued to talk about how she wouldn't remember anything, implying that whatever we did wouldn't count. At the end of the walk, my wife and I had exhausted every means we could think of to explain to B that this was not an appropriate way to think. Babies and toddlers do retain memories of emotions and trauma related to specific people or places, and one should never do anything to anyone while they are unaware, whether asleep, drunk, or lacking what we consider memory, that one would not want them to know about in a conscious state. He did not seem to agree or care much about our explanations, which made me even more uncomfortable. However, he was about 12 at the time, and this could merely be the manifestation of his mentalization issues and his still developing brain rambling, right? He hasn't mentioned this since, and over time I ceased thinking about this episode. Anyway, the children grew, and my feeling that I should not allow B to be alone with my daughter also grew. Still, nothing ever occurred that would justify these feelings or thoughts, but whenever we were with their family, I kept an extra watchful eye on my daughter and ensured she was never in any of the boys' rooms without a parent present. It is not that I do not trust the other two nephews, but I did not want to treat any of them differently than the others. I never shared my gut feelings with my wife. I still felt awful for not trusting this boy. He had not done anything to warrant my distrust, and I had never had such a distinct feeling regarding any other man, woman, or child in our lives. Even though my complex post-traumatic stress disorder makes it more challenging for me to be entirely carefree regarding who I allow to watch our daughter. Then a couple of months ago, my wife's sister's family visited us for the weekend. We see them much less these days due to unrelated family drama from the boy's mother's side, so it was a bit strained. The weekend went quite well, all things considered. The boys played with our daughter, we played games, and we visited the park. It was an ordinary weekend, yet that troubling feeling intensified. I do not want B to be alone with my daughter, not even for 5 minutes, period. The day after the weekend, my wife and I were in the car, and she was quieter than usual. After a period of silence, she took a deep breath and said, "I have no reason to say this, and I have no evidence or actions to support it. However, I would like to ask you never to let B and our daughter be alone together, not even for a moment." I felt equal parts relieved and alarmed that I was not the only one with that sentiment. I informed my wife that I had the identical feeling and that I had felt this way for a long time without understanding why. She mentioned that her feelings became particularly strong after that walk when B discussed being able to do whatever he wanted to babies as long as they were under 3 years old. Until that moment, I had somehow completely blocked that conversation out, but I recalled every detail once she mentioned it. We discussed that feeling for a long time, this entirely unfounded feeling that had arisen in both of us independently. My wife also asked if I had ever seen B regret any of his actions or feel sorry for others. She wondered if I had ever observed him demonstrate any form of empathy. This question caught me off guard, but I realized I had not witnessed any such behavior. Combined with his utter lack of respect or fear of consequences and punishment, I am at a loss for how to process this. I feel a sense of relief that this is not just me. However, it is even more disturbing that my level-headed wife harbors the same feeling, strongly enough that she voiced it to me. I have no idea how to address this feeling. Is it trauma speaking? Am I being entirely unfair to an innocent teenager? Is this my intuition that I should not ignore even for a second? In summary, my wife's nephew has little respect for rules or consequences and does not appear to display empathy. He has spoken about how one can do whatever one wants to children under the age of 3 since they will not remember, which has consistently made me feel like I should never leave him alone with my toddler. I never informed my wife of my concerns until she recently confided that she does not wish for me to leave her nephew alone with our daughter. I apologize for any grammatical errors and similar issues. English is my second language.